the complexion of this race changed dramatically just past the halfway point. Elliott Sadler was running second, had a loose wheel, had to come into the pits, went down a couple of laps. Casey Kane was second, then dropped to ninth, had a flat tire. Tony Stewart, who dominated, leading 257 laps, loses fuel pressure, has a fuel pump cable problem, forced to pit. That knocked him out of the lead. And that opened the door for Denny Hamlin and then Kevin Harvick. Harvick, who, by the way, started 40th today and has worked his way towards the front. Jeff Hammond, remember, began 34th at Daytona, which was his worst starting point ever, and won the Daytona 500.
Yeah, but you got to realize something else. He has a win here at Bristol 2 years ago, but more importantly, I think, is the fact that Richard Childress Racing has 8 wins, 7 with the late Dale Earnhardt Sr. So, I mean, they know something about winning here at Bristol, and I think it's starting to show with this 29 car.
Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, ironically, 24 years ago to the day, Cale Yarborough in the 11 car, led all 500 laps here at Bristol. I know Darrell knows something about the 11 car with Junior Johnson, had a lot of success. So if you're into numbers here, Denny Hamlin, a guy worth watching, and has the work of the teammate from his earlier problems and success in Tony Stewart.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to come from Tony Stewart, the setup as far as that's concerned. But there's got to be a little bit of concern whether or not they're going to have the same type of an issue as far as fuel pump's concerned. But DW, when it comes to that number 11, she definitely knows how to get around this old Bristol Speedway.
Oh, she does, definitely, Jeff. But the team that I am fascinated with today is that 24 team. Larry, Mike, we stood here and watched that car almost get lapped 3 or 4 times.
Junk.
He couldn't drive it. Complaining. Here he is running 4th.
Yeah, I look at Denny Hamlin, of course. He won the battle off pit road. Jeff Gordon, yeah, what a turnaround. But don't take your eye off that man back there in second right now, Kevin Harvick. After winning the Daytona 500, those guys want to get back on track. Remember, he started this race in 40th. He's definitely had a dogfight to get to the front.
But I want to see if Kyle Busch learned anything on that last green flag run and what he might have for them in that 5 car. Dick Bergman?
Well, Mike Ford, crew chief for Denny Hamlin, knew that they didn't need any fuel at all, Mike, and so that was part of their really quick pit stop. All they did was fire 4 at that car and make that tiny chassis adjustment. That was it. They cracked off a good one. That's how come the 11 car is leading.
And what's great about that, you can have 7 men over the wall. Now, one of those guys has to be the catch can man, but if you don't use fuel, that means you can use that gas man to make adjustments or do whatever.
And a lighter car with 4 fresh tires should be pretty fast.
I would say so. Lighter car means back up in the rear.
Yeah.
The rear's up in the air.
Yeah, good strategy.
Kevin Harvick in second place. His last 4 runs in the spring Bristol race produced finishes of 7th, 3rd, 1st, and 2nd.
He likes Bristol. Might even be his favorite track.
80 laps to go. Restart.
Whoa, man. I don't know if Hamlin didn't go or Harvick's in a hurry, but gave him a shove there on that restart.
Well, good news for Kyle Busch and almost good news for Jeff Gordon. He's not going to quite clear Dave Blaney in the 22 car. The inside line snacked up. That let Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin get away from Gordon.
Caution down. Debris on the front straightaway.
I believe that could have come from some contact there between the 11 and the 29. He was hitting him pretty hard on that restart.
Front stretch debris puts us under caution. I believe Ward Burton will get one of his 2 laps back in the Abingdon, Virginia-based Morgan McClure Chevrolet.
Today's Race on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. Just say ride shotgun on race day with NASCAR Hot Pass only on DirecTV. By Q, the heat-activated oil that helps maximize the power of your engine. Unleash all your horses. By Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. This is Budweiser. This is beer. And by Subway Restaurants. Subway. Eat fresh.
They just waved the green flag for this restart. Denny Hamlin leading Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. Harvick and Busch between them had the most top 5s in last year's 6 short track races, 5 apiece.
And right now, Kyle Busch in the 5 car, we're looking back at him in 3rd place. He has a car between him and his teammate, Jeff Gordon, in the 24. We have Dave Blaney in the 22, who's 3 laps down.
Yeah, but, you know, Blaney's running pretty good. He's driving off and leaving Jeff and kind of closing up on the back of Kyle Busch there. So Blaney's car's running all right. He's not holding anybody up. He's not in anybody's way.
72 laps to go in this year's running of the Food City 500. Second place changes hands. Kyle Busch up to second.
While these boys are going at it, that 11 car is just driving away, almost built up to a second lead in just about 4 laps. You know, a car we didn't talk about a while ago sitting back there in 5th place, Greg Biffle in that 16 car right now. He's all over the rear bumper of Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. Talked about his car earlier. Seems to be real good on long runs. Maybe not so much right after a restart.
I think the 24 is the same way, Larry. He was pretty good. He was catching those guys late in the run there a while ago.
How about Jeff Gordon, Dick?
Well, I'll tell you what, those guys do not give up. They have been as low as 27th and have had a car that from time to time has been an absolute brick on the racetrack, simply not fast. But they have pitted time after time after time. Car still isn't right. It's tight in some parts of the racetrack and loose in others. But Gordon's driving his heart out, and the crew is doing its best. And look at this. He's in 5th spot.
And guys, I got to believe this group is also looking at the big picture, because he comes in here second to points. Mark Martin is not here in the 01 car. A good top 5 finish with that 24 car. He'll leave here the points leader.
I'm sure he's thought about that himself, Larry.
And there's how the points would be with the positions the way they are right now.
Had an interesting conversation with Steve Letarte, his crew chief. I didn't realize how long Steve had been at Hendrick Motorsports. He'd been there a long time, ever since he was a kid, actually.
Started off cutting Ray Evernham's grass.
Yeah, he worked there with Ray, and he's been there a long time, and he's really a funny guy.
Here's the race for 7th. Right there, Stremme on the outside of Jeff Burton. David Stremme on track in the number 40 for his best career finish. He has been 11th 3 times, as now he is in 7th place. Carl Edwards is the second Ford in the race. Greg Biffle is up in 4th place. Carl Edwards is in 10th after winning the Busch race here yesterday, the Sharpie Mini 300, and getting to do one of his patented backflips. That has become a trademark Ford Bold move.
Now, did his motor coach driver get to mow his grass?
No, it only counts on Cup wins.
Oh,
he told Carl,
man.
I'm not counting Busch Series wins. What we're talking about.
Floated in.
Carl Edwards, coach driver. Carl has not won since the end of 2005. His coach driver said, look, I'm not going to shave till you win another race. And like Darrell said, we're just about to go and have to get to a weed whacker to get him clean shaven.
He looks terrible out there on the in the coach line.
Dale Jr. running in 8th place. We've talked a lot about sun and shade here. You know that Jr. hosts a show called Back in the Day that airs on the Fox-owned Speed Channel. And maybe he was doing a little homework when he talked to spotter Steve Meal here.
What was it like here when they didn't have the grandstands? The drivers get blinded, come around 1 and 2. Feel like the sun coming down, Steve. They get blinded. The sun would get over there real bad. That's what I figured.
And there used to be no grandstands down there in turn 1 and 2 or turn 3 and 4.
But Larry, like you said, we never started to race this late either.
No, we would start only about 12 or 12:30. We're hearing Juan Pablo Montoya is having to come to pit road. Has a flat tire on that 42 car.
Matt Kenseth has had an up and down day. His Harvey's Ford currently is 12th. Krista?
Matt Kenseth has been complaining about a loose car most of the day. Right now, he said it's like running on a 3-legged table. It feels like the left front is not even on the track. And actually, the reason for that may have been a few runs ago when he felt like they may have broke something in the left front when they had to come down on the apron. But yeah, the way he described it, a 3-legged table. Hey guys, once I went and looked at a 3-legged dog, but not a 3-legged table.
What was his name, Krista? Arithmetic?
Lucky.
Lucky. I'm thinking the same thing.
Well, maybe he was putting down 3 and carrying 1.
Clint Boyer, Dale Jr., 8th place.
You know, you see a lot of flame coming out the exhaust pipes on the right side of these cars. Of course, that's when they're kind of part throttling. It's raw fuel burning. But if you'll notice, every bit of it is in front of the right rear tire. That was another small rule change that went along with the car tomorrow. Every exhaust system, basically the same. Every exhaust system has to exit out the right rear in front of the right rear tire. That keeps it away from where the gas man is dumping that fuel in the left rear quarter panel.
Plus, I think it's in a much better area too for the driver. It doesn't run out under your feet and burn you up like it used to.
How about Casey Kane, who crashed earlier, and now he is up to 23rd place. Where he's running right now, he would leave here 34th in owner points, and he would get a qualifying exemption at Martinsville. Johnny Sauter, who did not make this race, would be 35th. And drivers who would have to qualify on time next week would include Blaney, Jarrett, Vickers, Riggs, and Schrader.
Now there's the car that came in here, the points leader Regan Smith with this 01 car. Right now Regan is running back in the 24th position, 3 laps down. Big question, how does this car having 2 drivers affect the chase for the Nextel Cup? I talked to Robin Pemberton earlier in the week. He said, Larry, we have the top 12 drivers that will go for the Nextel Cup. We'll have the top 12 owners that will go for the Owners Championship.
So in owner points, this car would fall from 1st to about 4th or 5th right now, based on where Regan Smith is running.
And all that matters at the end of race 26, whether it's a driver or owner, is top 12.
And Regan is doing a pretty good job, actually.
Holding his own, Darrell, 3 laps back. But he's running 17 flats, the same as the race leader, so right on pace.
I bet these guys didn't think they'd be running 17 flat today. That's about, what, Larry, half to maybe almost a second slower than what we would see in the race here.
And we talked about at the top of the show, qualifying, actually the average speed of this field of 43 cars a little quicker than the qualifying here in August. A year ago, the qualifying was snowed out. But speaking of our leader, Denny Hamlin, right now with 48 laps to go, he's getting into some very heavy traffic. Kyle Busch in that 5 car trying to take advantage of it back there in 2nd.
I'll tell you one thing, Kyle Busch is relentless. He doesn't give up, and he stays in the gas.
The one question for that 5 car is, did Kyle Busch conserve enough to be able to make a run at the leader late in the race?
It looks a lot better this go-round than it did the last time. I think he got a little overexcited there, a little over-exuberant. When he saw the leader and had a shot at the win, he really drove the wheels off of it. This time he's paced himself much better.
45 laps to go when they come back to the start-finish line. "17 cars still on the lead lap, led by Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. We're into the closing stages at Bristol.